Directed by AI is coming back for another video, and today we're talking about your top 5 films based on what ChatGPT thinks and why. So when we start off by our list, we're talking about Citizen Kane as number 1. 1941, the Orson Welles directional debut, was often regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. This is where I stop and say, I know it's an old movie and I know that we love it and it's something that's a staple in film schools and everywhere around the world, and I don't think I know anyone who hasn't seen Citizen Kane, but I think the trend has to die at some point. AI is saying that it revolutionized storytelling techniques. It's employing this innovative cinematography and narrative structure and deep character exploration, and it examines power, ambition, and human conditions, and continues to resonate with audiences. It's not resonating over here, but okay. Next up is The Godfather, and if you haven't seen our video about The Godfather and why it's one of the best movies ever, then you should go check that out. So The Godfather, obviously, I'm a huge fan, explores, the Corleone's family's rise and fall, and we're talking about violence and impeccable performances, rich storytelling, iconic moments that have solidified to be a true classic. I can't agree with this more. Third on the list is Casablanca, a 1942 amazing story that comes with Michael Curt's romantic drama set in World War II, and we're talking about a cultural touchstone for fans. Now, it's timeless tale of love, sacrifice, moral dilemmas, combined with memorable performances and quotable dialogue, and has endeared to its audience through the decades. Casablanca kind of stands in the middle. You have the fans that love it, you have the fans that hate it, but it's a staple. I can see why ChatGPT generated it for us, and I can't agree more. Fourth on the list, and one of my favorites, is Shawshank Redemption, the 1994 film that is based on Stephen King's novel. Now, that's the first point that makes it so amazing. It's a Stephen King novel, and this has achieved widespread acclaim and devoted fan bases for the film. It's a rough story, it's rugged, and it's exploring hope, friendships, and the human spirit in the confinedness of Shawshank's state penitentiary. Now, it's emotionally resonant story, and it has well-drawn characters and uplifting themes that have made it a beloved film. If you are a fan of long movies, because you will get bored somewhere in the middle, you should watch Shawshank Redemption. The acting is great, the performances are impeccable, and it is on everyone's to-watch list. Finally on the list is Gone with the Wind, the 1939 truly classic film. Now, at this point, I just really think that we should be ending the episode because this is one of the best. You're talking about the director Victor Fleming and a historical epic that has been more successful and more enduring in the cinema's history. We're talking about capturing the sweeping saga of Scarlett O'Hara during the American Civil War and Reconstruction era. Now, the grand scale, lavish production value, and the compelling performances make it truly a classical Hollywood filmmaking movie that should be taught all around the world. Now, I have a couple of comments on this because AI only explored classical films. We're not talking about any of the new productions, we're not talking about any of the uprising directors. There's nothing by Quentin Tarantino, which is an atrocity because where is Pulp Fiction on this list? Come on. But there is nothing to tell us why these are specifically important aside from being classics. And ChatGPT's analyzation of the whole thing was that these are just a few examples and there are countless other exceptional films that left a mark on cinema. Ultimately, these top films will vary on personal preference, and I agree with them because my personal preference, I'm not a big fan of the list, but I do think that there are some good movies. What about you telling us what are some of the films that you agree with, or which ones would you want on the list?